Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Afia Sports Review Sport on Afia TV, the first of its kind in a brand new week. That's today is the 22nd of June, the year of our Lord 2026. Welcome, guys. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you're ready for yet another eventful and fruitful week ahead. This is a wonderful day indeed. Monday. It's Monday. Whatever you do on Monday, make sure you're ready for impact, because that's basically what we do here, not just in Afia TV, but every part of the world. Welcome, guys. You can get us on the frequencies, channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 GoTV, and channel 748 Free TV. And Nightsatcom 129, that's the newest addition to our reach, if you may. Welcome, guys. My name is CC, the Rabbi, and I'm not doing this alone. I have the man that we call fondly the Blessed Zik, Zikorangene. Zik, good to have you.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. CC. Good evening, Africa. Good evening, the world. Pleasure to be here on the Review Spot.
Yeah, indeed. And I think we can say good evening, Africa, with a very, very wonderful, with our chest full, because we're in the season, that time of the year, that time once every 4 years, where the Mundial, the FIFA World Cup, that's currently being hosted by the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico is ongoing. And African teams are doing, well, I think pretty well. Some are doing quite well. Some others went there to just get counted. Some went to answer present. Tunisia, we're looking at you amongst other teams. But it is what it is. Welcome once again, guys. And we get straight to what we have for today, beginning with the headlines. Headlines, I say this, well, please don't be disturbed by my smile, but the headlines. First of all, charity always begins at home, and when we talk about home, we come closer home, and as you can see on the screen, Afia FC had a very good, interesting outing against Powell Homes FC. This happened yesterday, being Sunday, at the UNEC Stadium, and the fact is that Afia lost 3-1, but there was some dodgy refereeing, very, very dodgy refereeing, and some very blatant displays of bias and prejudice on the side of Powell FC, Powell Homes FC, who brought their own referee, and then Meshi, how we call this part of the world. But no, at the end of the day, it's just the beginning of a new rivalry. Believe me, the next time Afia FC will play, they're going to do much better than this, because we will be prepared. It ended 3-1 in favor of Powell Homes FC, but believe me, the dog will be broken ASAP. So that's the first major bit of news. It's good to know that Afia FC is building up and going in leaps and bounds. Then moving away from Afia FC, we go to what happened in the FIFA World Cup. The FIFA World Cup is what's taking center attention and is the center of attraction at this period of the year. And being Africans, we have to give a lot of salutes and encomiums to the African teams that are doing very well, beginning with Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde secured a very vital point, a second consecutive point in the FIFA World Cup, played against Latino sides. First of all, they played against number 2 in the world, Spain. La Fioroja could not even find themselves beyond them after playing 7 shots on target, all saved by Vozinha, the goalkeeper. It was the goalkeeper that was man of the match in the first game between Spain and Cabo Verde in a goalless draw. But this time around, the second match, they were a bit more expansive. It moved from the goalkeeper to the outfield players, and they themselves were involved scoring. The first goal was scored, I think it was not Varea. He scored the last goal. The first goal was scored, a free kick, beautiful free kick, long distance free kick there. And then eventually, Uruguay came back and they made it 1-1, and then eventually it was 2-1, but at the end of the day, the man Varela then scored the vital equalizer, giving Cabo Verde a big opportunity in their first ever World Cup campaign to go to the next round, because 2 points, they are unbeaten, but get the final game won, then you can rest assured that Cabo Verde might just go through to the next round. Fantastic result indeed for Cabo Verde. And then, of course, the third headline news there is still on the FIFA World Cup. Miguel Almirón has gone into infamy as the first player in the history of the World Cup to be sent off based on a rule, sent off for breaking a rule that was just instituted in FIFA for the first time, and that's for talking in an aggressive manner, covering your mouth in a game. When Paraguay played against Turkey, in their win against Turkey, he was seen having a verbal exchange with one of his with one of the opponents, a Turkish player, and then he put his hand over his mouth to conceal what he was saying because of the tense nature of the match and the way it was. His opponents then attracted the attention of the referee, who then summoned VAR, who then indeed confirmed that Miguel Almirón, the Paraguayan midfielder, was actually talking under his breath. So, as a result, he was shown a straight red card, and that's the first time in World Cup history that a player is sent off for talking covering his mouth. That is called the Prestiani rule. When it was named after the Benfica midfielder Prestiani, who allegedly racially abused Vinicius Junior Real Madrid when Benfica and Real Madrid met in the UEFA Champions League this last season. Now, of course, Prestiani was banned, but it was not yet ascertained what he said. So that rule was brought into football as called the Prestiani rule, where a player is not permitted under tension to talk to another player, an opposing player, with his mouth covered, because the burden of proof is on that player. So that's what happened. Now we go on to the main news for today. First of all, we start with basketball. Normally we start with football, but now we're starting with basketball. The second phase of the Nigerian Basketball Premier League kicks off in Enugu. That's the news there. Nigeria basketball dunks off in Enugu State. This happened back then, I think on the 20th, which was on Saturday. The second phase of the Nigerian Basketball Premier League, which is the MBPL, the Atlantic Conference to be precise. It dunked off inside the indoor multipurpose gymnasium hall of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. And the basketball sensitization has begun to increase vastly. And it's good to know that basketball is having its rightful place there. So that championship has been organized, is being organized by the NBBF, that's the Nigerian Basketball Federation, and it will run through the 30th of June, and is expected to produce the top 4 teams that will then compete for the ultimate prize, the grand prize in the Super 8 Championship in a yet to be decided venue. So it's great that Enugu was scheduled as the host of this tournament, this second phase of the Nigerian Basketball Premier League. Starting from there, normally, but what people don't really know, that basketball is one of the favorite pastimes of a very sizable percentage of Nigerians. Like, I'll just give an example. Someone like me, I'm a sports person through and through. I love sports, but when I was in camp, when I was 17, during my youth service, when everybody was expected to be involved in a game, there were 3 games that were there. You had football, you had basketball, you had volleyball. Now, volleyball was reserved for females. So the men had to choose between basketball and football. Now, I'm neither confirming nor denying that I'm a terrible footballer. No, I'm just saying that I preferred basketball. I would always love basketball, and I have the height and physique for basketball, even though I know I'm not over 6'3". I'm 6'3", but I was pretty decent against much taller players. So I've always loved basketball and enjoyed it. And to see that we have a sizable community of people in Nigeria, particularly in Enugu, that enjoy basketball. It's a good thing to know that the presence of this beautiful game has been made known as far as Enugu is concerned in this second phase of the MBPF.
Well, yeah, I believe that every sport does have a place in the society at large. And for me personally, I do know basketball rules. I did play it a bit in high school. I do know friends that do play basketball from high school and also in the uni. So, of course, here in Enugu, there is a sizable community. It's not only the older generation, it's even amongst the younger ones and those in the middle. Basketball is a very interesting sport, but a very intense sport based on 5 players, multiple substitution, because people can get injured, people can gas out. It requires maximum intensity going back and forth. There are rules to adhere to, traveling and so forth and so on. It's not my best sport, but I do respect it. You have the legends like LeBron and Michael Jordan. And us here in Nigeria, we're trying to, grow our own grassroots basketball sports. And, of course, it's not the main sport. That's what football is. But if we can get more young stars into that field or that brand of sport, that's basketball itself, it could be a very, very good opening whereby people can alleviate themselves from poverty, and also developing keen minds, whereby they can use it to become whatever they want to be in life. So, of course, it's a beautiful thing that it's being hosted here in Enugu. It can only bring investment, it can only bring new prospects, and it can only bring joy to the city at large. So, it's a good thing to see, and kudos to those who are organizing it and to those who are going to participate.
Indeed, indeed it is. And we are looking forward to that, especially when we have a thriving and growing community of basketball lovers, 8 participating teams in this particular tournament will include the likes of Raptors, those are the defending champions of the MBPL, Raptors of Lagos, the Mactown Flyers of Benue, the Athletic for Peace of Rivers State, then the 3-time league winners, that is Comets of Ogun State, and then the 2018 MBPL champions, who are the Rivers Hoopers. Rivers Hoopers are easily the most popular and well-known basketball side in the Nigerian league of Port Harcourt. And the Coal City Blazers, that is our very own Enugu-based basketball team. The Coal City Blazers are there. And then the 2024 runners-up Hoop and Reed, that is of Lagos, and the Edo Beads of Edo. So the tournament indeed promises to live up to its billing, and we're looking forward to everything. And remember, we're going to give you all the details of what's going down on Afia TV. Now we go to what's going down. This one, now moving back to football, a more familiar territory for many who love football a lot. And it has to do with the President's Federations Cup, the cup competition, primary cup competition in Nigerian football, the President's Federation Cup, Nigeria's own FA Cup. And yes, we have it once again. We know that all roads lead to Asaba, the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba. And that's going to be on the 11th of July. We tried our best. The MPFL board did their utmost to ensure that they maintained the calendars. We can have to give them a lot of credit for the league season that just finished. They said they are going to start the league on the 22nd of August, and they began that day, 22nd of August, and then they went all the way, and then the league season, they said that they are going to finish on the 24th of May, and they did. So I have to give you a lot of credit. Yeah, so you can afford to maybe give them a little bit of a pass, because they set initially the final for the President's Federations Cup on the 27th of June. Well, it's not to be. 27th of June is just a few days from now. That's on Sunday. But no, sorry, it's not Sunday. It's on Saturday, the 27th of June. But now it's been moved. It's been brought back all the way to the 11th of July. But we are going to have a team that wants it more than the other team, and that's in Ikorodu City Oga Boys. They finished fourth in the MPFL. Their chances of qualifying for the continental places through the CAF Confederations Cup first preliminary round were dashed in the last couple of games. They were beaten to it by their bitter rivals, that is 3SC, Shooting Stars of Ibadan. So they finished third. So the only route to securing this last continental slot is by winning the President's Federations Cup. And they've gotten all the way to the final. And the only obstacle right now, no disrespect to them, is the finalists of 2024. I'm referring to El Kanemi Warriors. Their second final in 3 seasons, but sadly, El Kanemi Warriors are now an NNL side. They'll begin life in the NNL, second tier of Nigerian football pyramid, next season. It's now set. Hopefully, there's not going to be any postponement again. We don't need that. But what are your thoughts concerning this fixture that has been fixed finally? And what are the chances of both sides, both Ikorodu City and El Kanemi Warriors?
Well, you said we have to both commend them, and also I don't want to give them a pass, because 27th of June to 11th of July, I think is a long while. I think the players should be done with their season so that they can have at least the whole of July to at least recuperate, and a bit of August. So on that aspect, I wouldn't give them a pass. I think it's too far to rest for a final that they have been slugging out to reach to this stage. Of course, we do remember the seasons gone by whereby there have been delays, there have been interruptions. League was supposed to be starting in August. They started the league in September, and so on and so forth. But if we aim to be professional in the Nigerian Professional Football League, we do need to follow timetable. We do need to follow deadlines, and we do need to understand that that football is a round the clock business, and if you do not organize your product to the market, that's both us, the fans here in Nigeria, and those in the diaspora, and also those out in other African countries, the product loses its value. So they have to maintain that tempo they have set in terms of the timetable. I'm not happy with the way it has been set back at 11, but we won't talk about that so much. It has been set, so let's focus on the teams. Yeah, on Ikorodu City, to me, they had a fantastic season. It's quite unfortunate that they didn't end it where they would have wanted to end it. That's in the top 3 places. Like you said, they were pipped to it by Shooting Stars 3SC. It still doesn't detract away from what they wanted in the beginning of the season. They can still end the season with a trophy, but I'm not sure it's going to be as easy as it looks, because for Kanemi Warriors to continue piling on pressure and to try and reach this final so far, it tells you that there is a great deal of mental fortitude in that squad. They are not allowing their circumstance of their season to determine what they are going to do in this particular competition. And for me, I think that so far, I think the players of Academy Warriors should be commended. The coaching staff as well should be. But I just think that it's still anybody's trophy to win.
Yeah, clearly it's still anybody's trophy to win. It will be a wonderful thing for Ikorodu City to end the season on a high, kill 2 birds with 1 stone by winning the President's Federations Cup, and then at the same time getting sealing a berth on the continent, because they want to do that. Let it be that the season was salvaged. And then El Kanemi Warriors, who had a very, very unfortunate season, finishing 18th on the log in the MPFL, which then sent them to the NNL. Let them try and see if they can do it. Wigan, if you get what I mean.
2013.
2013 when Wigan Athletic.
Not only Wigan, Birmingham City. 2011 Cali Cup.
Yes.
After winning it, they went for relegation. So it happens.
Yeah, it really happens. But I mean, it is what it is. So we move quickly. We're going to, after a short break, we're going to come back and talk about the FIFA World Cup. But we just have to say this about the FIFA World Cup. Egypt, big congratulations to Egypt, the Pharaohs of Egypt, because for the first time in their history, since participating in the World Cup, and their first participation in the FIFA World Cup was in Italia 34, Italy, 1934. They appeared there, the Pharaohs of Egypt, and they have tried their possible best to be consistent. Not very easy. Now, African teams not qualifying for the World Cup is something that is almost common, especially when you see the qualification journey and how arduous it is. But for the first time in their history, they secured a win in the FIFA World Cup after a credible draw against the Red Devils of Belgium. They then faced the Kiwis of New Zealand and came from behind. Sherman scored the first goal in the 15 minutes, but a very dogged and resolute Egyptian side showed. They said, no, this time it's not Pharaoh, let my people go. We are not letting you go. We are going to deal with you. And that's exactly what they did, because Zico then scored in the 58 minutes. And then Mohamed Salah, the captain and the eventual man of the match, he scored in the 67th minute and then made an assist, provided the goal for Mahmoud Trezeguet in the 82nd minute. And Egypt, the Pharaohs of Egypt, have grabbed their first win in the FIFA World Cup, joining the likes of the other teams that have wins, even though the highest number of wins in the FIFA World Cup for an African side is shared by our two Jollof rivals. Nigeria 6, Ghana 6. But it is what it is. Even Cameroon have 5. But Egypt have joined the party of African teams that have secured their first ever win in the FIFA World Cup. I mean, some African teams are making us proud. There are some other African teams that need to go home and defend their jobs, protect their jobs. But these ones that we can see are making us proud. Egypt, I mean, it's a good one for them, don't you think?
Yeah, it's been a long time coming for Egypt. Finally, one can say they have gotten of age and finally getting the first 3 points in the FIFA World Cup history for them. Some African sides have been woeful. The Tunisians, they know themselves. They don't need to be called out. I was watching a video whereby they said they should sack the second coach so that it should just be pure entertainment now.
According to the reports, he wants to resign.
That's fair enough. They should just let him resign so that it will not be a three-peat and we're already going home. There's no hope. But on the more serious side, the likes of Ivory Coast, despite losing against Germany, they took them to the wire. So, of course, you see Cabo Verde drawing their 2 games, first against Spain and the other one 2-2 against Uruguay. So it tells you that the African sides are very, very dogged and determined in this particular World Cup. But we are not making, we're not here to make up numbers. From 5 slots to 10 slots, it shows that the increase by FIFA was justified or has been justified. I'm still yet to give the total praise until the group stage is rounded up so that we can know where everybody is. Then the proper accolades will begin, and hopefully they can, go even better than Morocco in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just need to watch and see. Well, at least there was one feat that happened last World Cup in Qatar 2022 where every single African side in the World Cup, and the 5 African teams are qualified, all of them got at least 1 win. I mean, that you have to give them credit for that. We may not see that because we have a Tunisia to look at that look woeful, that don't look like they can get a win to save their lives. You see a South Africa, you just don't know what to make of this South Africa, even though they got themselves back into reckoning because
they still have hope. They still have hope.
Against a team that is known as stamina, the embodiment of stamina, South Korea, that's South Derby.
The problem for South Africa is not, I think it's not a problem. I think they have an opportunity. As long as they got that penalty and they dispatch it by Tebo Mokoena, they have a hope whereby they can get another. Anything can happen against South Korea. South Korea is not like an impregnable team like Japan, whereby you can say, okay, these guys are going to systematically dismantle South Africa. South Korea still live in that margin whereby any little mistake, they can lose a game. They are good, quite frankly. They have good players playing in good leagues, but they are not taking off all their chances and, taking other teams to the cleaners, like I said, Japan, like the Netherlands. So I still believe that South Africa have hope, irrespective of what we do feel about them in general. So there's hope, but we know that one of our countries is coming home. That's Tunisia, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Well, just like you said, it is what it is. Somebody once said it's the hope that kills you. That's why we always say that hope is not a business strategy. And like my very good friend back then in university would always say, blessed are the hopeless, for they shall not be disappointed. Well, we'll know who's disappointed at the end of the day. We'll be right back after this short time out because we are still delving into the world of the FIFA World Cup in Mexico, United States of America, and Canada. Stay tuned. This is still the Afia Sports Review Sport on Afia TV. Don't touch that dial. You're welcome back to the Afia Sports Review Sport on Afia TV. The frequencies are still fixed, locked and loaded on channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 Go TV, channel 748 Free TV, and Nightsatcom 129. That is the new addition to the Afia franchise. Welcome back, guys. And I want to say a sincere thank you to the Blessed Zik who graced this platform in the first half of the show. We were talking about things that went down on the domestic front, but now we're moving to the other ends of the earth, moving beyond Africa, moving beyond Nigeria and Africa. And to joining me to do justice to this is my dear friend, Kelechi Nnaji himself, the man that wears many hats. He's a pundit, a presenter, a content creator, an analyst, a producer, and then also a professional referee. So you see, he's a jack of all trades and master of most. Kelechi, good to have you.
Yeah, good to have you too. Good evening, CC. And I think maybe you should add one more thing. A striker that doesn't score goals.
Okay.
So,
NSCF. That's non-scoring center forward. Yes,
maybe,
NSCF.
Maybe, yeah, that's a new niche. I'm happy to be here. The World Cup season has actually been a very beautiful one. You wake up every day knowing very well that there's beauty to be beheld, because I call football beauty because you can enjoy it from all angles. You can enjoy it as either a player, a media person, a spectator, an organizer, an administrator, or however way you are enjoying the game. And that's exactly what the World Cup has given us. And later today, one of the greatest ever, in fact, the greatest ever. Yeah, I said it. The greatest ever to grace the game will be playing. So I'm happy.
Okay, and just for the record, I'll issue a disclaimer. All views expressed on every show on Afia TV are not the position of Afia TV necessarily, so that we don't create a polarizing view. Yeah, clearly, so you're entitled to your own position,
it's
no
my
problem.
Position.
Fine, so acknowledge.
Thank you.
Okay, so we go straight to what's going on. The World Cup, FIFA World Cup, the Mundial, has been so exciting. So we're going to go straight to the results that we've seen lately and then the fixtures that are coming up. You mentioned one of them where the person is referring to is the man who's going to turn 39 in 2 days' time. I think, no, yes, 24th. I think that's his birthday. That's 39. Zidane's birthday is tomorrow. No, Zizou will be 54 tomorrow. While Lionel Andres Messi is going to turn 39 on the 24th of June. That's in 2 days' time. So they're going to be playing against Austria today, and that's going to be by 6 p.m. We will give you details about that, maybe even give you the lineup just before we end the show. But first of all, we go to the matches that were played from yesterday till today. And then, of course, the results from Group E. We have Ecuador and Curacao. Curacao in cloud nine, because even though it was a goalless draw, they secured their first ever point in the FIFA World Cup in that game there. Ecuador huffed and puffed. They were not able to break up the Curacao side. So Moises Caicedo and his teammates were just left disappointed because a team of less pedigree held them to a draw. But no crime there, because Cabo Verde did the same thing to almighty La Roja of Spain. Tunisia are out of the FIFA World Cup officially. Hervé Renard or no Hervé Renard, it's not to be. They were thrashed, battered, bruised, bamboozled, disgusted and busted by Japan. The samurai of Japan used their katana on them and then dismantled them and made them commit harakiri by force. 4-0, that's what happened to Tunisia. So 9 goals conceded in 2 games with a solitary goal after the mauling that they suffered in the first game. Tunisia were destroyed in the first game of the FIFA World Cup that they played. For some reason, I can't remember the exact team, but I'll give you the team in a bit. But they lost the first game there. And then, of course, we also had Belgium and Iran, a goalless draw, 10-man Belgium and Iran. Iran getting a valuable point there in this FIFA World Cup. So they have 2 points in this FIFA World Cup so far. That is the Iranians. And then, of course, Spain, La Roja, grabbed their first win of the FIFA World Cup. Lamine Yamal scoring Spain's first goal this campaign. And then Miguel Oyarzabal grabbing a brace in 3 minutes, 21st minute and 24th minute. Then an own goal was scored. And then Spain completed it 4-0. It would have been 5-0 if not for the fact that Ferran Torres' goal was ruled out for offside. Then Uruguay and Cabo Verde, they ended up having a 2-2 draw. Cabo Verde's dream starts the World Cup continues. Yes, they've not secured a win yet, but this nation, tiny nation that is less than 500,000 people in Cabo Verde, their first goal was scored by Lenini. Lenini scored in the 21st minute a beautiful free kick, a long-distance free kick, and that's their first goal in the FIFA World Cup. Only for Araujo to score the equalizer in the 44th minute, and then Canoblio to score in the 6th minute of stoppage time before halftime to make it 2-1. But Varela popped up in the 61st minute and then grabbed the spoils, a share of the spoils. So 2 consecutive draws, 2 consecutive points against formidable opponents. 3 World Cups between them. Yes, they were not able to break down this Cabo Verde side. Hurrah, hurrah, bravo to Cabo Verde, because indeed they are flying the flag of Africa very high. Talking about flying the flag of Africa, we also talked about this before the break. Egypt, the Pharaohs of Egypt secured their first ever World Cup win. And Mohamed Salah inspired them, getting the man of the match there, a goal and an assist in a 3-1 come from behind win over the Kiwis of New Zealand. Very, very important. Egypt have a huge opportunity to go to the next round of the FIFA World Cup, having 4 points. All they need to do is avoid a loss in their last game, and one thing is certain, they will be in the next round. Tonight, we're going to see games. This evening, in just a little less than 30 minutes, we're going to have the defending champions, Argentina, being led by the maestro himself, Lionel Andres Messi, playing against Austria. Austria, who have players like Marko Arnautovic, will be there, playing out there. Ralf Rangnick will be trying to see if he can thwart the World Cup winning coach, Lionel Scaloni. But let's see how that plays out. This is going to be by 6 p.m. And the late match for today, because obviously it's going to be a chase and catch-up game. Messi is the joint top scorer in Champions League, in the World Cup history, I beg your pardon, with 16 goals alongside Miroslav Klose of Germany. So 1 goal against Austria is going to give him the record outright. But the man that we call Kylian Mbappe will be playing by 10 p.m. when France lock horns with Iraq. Now, Le Bleu will be aiming to make sure that they get a win, a comprehensive win over Iraq, to not only qualify to the next round of the FIFA World Cup, but to also give their talismanic striker, Kylian Mbappe, a big opportunity to go clear. What he needs to do to go clear of that record is to score numerous goals. He's on 14 goals in the FIFA World Cup. And what he needs to do to equal Messi is to score a brace. That is assuming Messi doesn't score today. So these are games that we're looking at and very, very interesting indeed. But Kelechi, before we talk about the fixtures, the two key fixtures that we have today that we're going to be watching today by 6 p.m., Lionel Messi and his Argentinian teammates, Los Albiceleste, up against the Austrians. And then, of course, later tonight, the late kickoff by 10 p.m., where France will play against Iraq. Using your expertise as a referee, we need to put to bed this debate, this confusion that's in the camp concerning some of the refereeing decisions that are being made in the FIFA World Cup. There's a new rule that was introduced in the FIFA World Cup concerning players that talk to opponents when they cover their mouths is now deemed a serious offense because it's an allegation of be very, very serious verbal assaults, racism, and some other very intolerant things said. Now, this player, the Paraguayan player, when Paraguay played against Turkey in their win over Turkey, Miguel Almirón, the former Newcastle United player, he did that against I'm trying to remember the name of the Turkish player. He did that, covered his mouth, and the Turkish player alerted the authority, the referee, who then summoned VAR, and they confirmed indeed that he said something while covering his mouth. And then he was given a straight red card. So he's the first player in the history of the World Cup to be shown his marching orders, given his marching orders just for talking under his breath, under his hand. And of course, Almiron is I don't know, that guy's a legend because I remember the first game that they played. The first time a card was given for mistaken identity. Yeah. So that was another rule that was launched this World Cup. So he's at the center of two new rules in the FIFA World Cup in as many games. If somebody accuses that guy of actually betting, I won't be surprised. But apart from that, people have looked at other cases. Like, for instance, when Portugal played against, who was that they played against? DR Congo, thank you. When they played against DR Congo, there were instances where someone like Cristiano Ronaldo was talking to João Neves and covering his mouth. Nothing was said about that. Now, for the sake of those who are watching, from the refereeing perspective, please try and strike a balance between that. Why was Miguel Almirón given a red card, and why was someone like Cristiano Ronaldo and even his coach, Roberto Martinez, and some other players, why were they not given the same kind of punishments? Because they were also talking under their hands.
All right. First of all, I think to explain this particular issue, we need to always look at perspective. It's not just about a player covering his mouth to speak and then you expect the player to be shown the red card. Let's take it back to the reason why that rule was brought in place in the first place. We remember last season in the Champions League when there was an altercation between Prestiani and Vinicius Jr. And Vinicius, alleged that Prestiani had used some racial slur on him. And Prestiani came out to say he didn't do anything of such. So it was found out that while he was talking to Vinicius, his mouth was covered, and there was no way to, practically state if he had actually abused Vinicius racially or not. So the rule had to come in due to necessity, so that in situations like that, you would have to go back to the video and at least read the person's lips. There are people who professionally read lips, and when they read your lips, they can tell what you have said without hearing the audio version of what you have said. So that being said, that does not in any way stop teams from sharing tactics by covering their mouth, because somehow these other players, these other teams, they have people in their teams who can also read lips. And sometimes football, in sports generally, in fact in life, when you have an opponent, you don't want to release your tactics to your opponent. So sometimes when they want to discuss something within themselves, they cover their mouths. Now, it is not an offense, because I don't think we have heard in anywhere that a teammate came out to say that his teammate abused him racially. It's usually the opponent or the fans. So now, that's why I said, let's look at the perspective. The new rule says when a player talks to an opponent, covering his mouth, and there is an allegation of an abuse, it is a straight red card. So you see that thing you want to say to your opponent, open your mouth and say it. Let everybody see it, so that when you are being accused wrongly, your lips can be read and you'll be vindicated. That's the idea. So it's not about covering your mouth. It's about, what have you covered your mouth to say? What has the other person come out to complain about? Because the idea of this whole thing is just to try as much as possible to avert, racism in football, because it has actually, eaten too deep in the game that players are complaining and they have no way to prove it. So this is FIFA's way of trying to help players, curtail the sort of abuse that they go through during games, especially from their opponents. So Miguel Almirón receiving a red card for, covering his mouth while speaking to an opponent. It wasn't necessarily because he had abused the opponent racially, but he must have said something, I don't know how to put it.
Something less grievous.
Yes, something less grievous, but the opponent didn't find it funny. And the opponent, knowing fully well that this is a new rule, knowing fully well that this is a red card, the opponent thought that, okay, this is actually a way of weakening this team. So why not report?
Okay.
So, the opponent immediately alerted the referee, and the referee, consulted the VAR and found out that Almiron had actually covered his mouth while speaking to the opponent. So there was no way to prove what he had said.
Okay.
So the best thing to do was to show him a red card. So, I think whenever we want to talk about these things, we should always look at the perspectives. It's not necessarily Mr. A did this, Mr. B did that, so the two of them should get the same punishment. I mean, that's why there is a law court where cases will always be taken to, and the perspective will be looked at.
Okay.
So that's why punishment will always vary. So I think, that should clear it. There was never a time anyone came out to say Cristiano Ronaldo had abused him by covering his mouth, or, Ronaldo was only talking to his teammates. So you don't expect him to be shown a red card for just covering his mouth. It's not an offense to cover your mouth. It is only an offense to cover your mouth when talking to an opponent, and especially when the opponent finds it
distasteful.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. Last time I checked, I don't think any balance or counter rule has been introduced to this. I want to give you.
It's a new rule, I think it will take a little bit of time before there's a balance to it, because I know this is going to be a lot of controversy.
But look at and that's exactly why we're bringing this up. Look at a situation like this. So now Almiron played into the hands of the opponent.
Yeah.
That's from his own perspective, maybe in his own defense, allegedly. Let's say he didn't say something that was that serious. The guy then saw that and decided to capitalize on the fact that that alone is a violation of FIFA's new rule. Now, what if Almiron had decided to just open his mouth and then not cover his mouth and then, for want of a better expression, channel his inner Rick Hassani, if you know what I mean? Something that has to do with thunder, but I won't say that. Channel his inner Rick Hassani, and all the lip readers are there, and then instinctively the opponent then accuses him of a racial slur, and the referee decides to check the VAR, and they see that first of all he didn't cover his mouth, and then they read his lips, and what he said was basically Rick Hassani's song played out in real time, and then this guy accused him of saying something very, very grievous. I don't know. I know that you're a referee, but looking at the crystal ball, is there any chance that there could be like in the case of simulation, for instance, somebody is accused of tripping a player in the 18-yard box and is given a straight red card, but they then review and see that the person that went down simulated, and then it's reversed, and then maybe he gets a red card for simulation. Do you see a world where a player that wants to do harm to the chances of his opponents falsely accuses another player of saying something very, very distasteful, something very racist, and then it's clear, maybe because he did not cover his mouth, what he said is obvious to everybody? How do you see this playing out in the future?
Okay, I think it is going to be a very clear picture when, the most important thing is do not cover your mouth when saying the thing you've said, because it will help you defend yourself. It will help your team, to help anybody who is called out to defend you. But I don't think any player will be shown a red card for an opponent, accusing him of having used a racial slur on him, especially if the referee has not heard the racial abuse. If the referee did not hear it, if there is no way to prove it, the referee will not show a red card. Now, the reason why FIFA wants every player to not cover their mouth while speaking is for retrospective actions. Yeah. So that after the game, the video will be reviewed. The professional lips readers will have to go through it and find out exactly what the player had said. If it is confirmed that this player had abused the opponent racially, knowing you that his punishment is going to be a lot more than what a red card would have been, and that way, we have singled out someone who has just abused an opponent racially. But if a player had just said something to an opponent which has no business to do with racism, but the opponent, due to wanting to, just reduce the opponent, the opponent's force, accuses the opponent of abusing him racially. Mm-hmm. I don't think the referee will show a red card. The referee hasn't been given a right to show a red card just because an opponent complained. Yeah, there has to be a confirmation, and when there is no confirmation, leave it for retrospective actions. That's why players are advised to speak without covering their mouth. But if you decide to cover your mouth, then you're going to suffer because nobody knows what you've said.
Okay. And I guess we'll never know. It's just he said, she said. Okay, sorry. He said. Yeah. We're not accommodating what we can't defend. Okay, thank you very much for that, Kelechi. Now we get to the main action for today. In a few minutes' time, 13 minutes to be precise, Lionel Andres Messi will be kicking off with the defending champions, Argentina, Los Albiceleste of Argentina, kicking off against Austria. So we need to get your thoughts concerning that game, what's likely to happen, where the game will be won and lost, and then also you give us your thoughts concerning France-Iraq. France-Iraq is going to be by 10 p.m. Now, it's quite strange that the two games that are being played today, with the sole exception of the game earlier as of this morning, where Egypt beat New Zealand, the two games that will be played today involve the two finalists of the last World Cup in 2022. And it now involves a running rivalry. In terms of, this is no disrespect to Cristiano Ronaldo, but in terms of realistic chances of winning the Golden Boot for the FIFA World Cup, this is a straight shoot-off. We're looking at a shootout between the two most likely players or two of the most likely contenders for the Golden Boot. So what's it going to be like to you? Give us your thoughts.
First of all, I think today is the day that both Argentina and France qualify for the next round of the World Cup, because I expect a win for the two finalists of 2022 FIFA World Cup. Yes. Argentina up against Austria. Austria, a very decent team, but one thing that people keep forgetting about Argentina is that Argentina is actually a top quality team. They might not have the best individual talents, but the fact that somehow they have found a way to always, come out as a unit to fight for each other. I think that's their greatest advantage. They are out there fighting for each other. Everybody digs it out. There is no, my teammate had made a mistake. Okay, he should pay for it. Once you see Argentina playing, you see all of them fighting. Messi is literally walking around the pitch and scanning, his environment, finding where to play the pass, where to shoot, and all of that. That's basically what Messi does. Messi walks so that the others can run, and it's working for them. It's working for them. They will always say, whatever thing you do in life, always find a way always find a system that works for you. Argentina has found a system that works for them. And, I expect them to dispatch, Austria today. Austria, yes, they're going to give a fight, but I don't think Austria is a match to Argentina. So I expect a win for Argentina, maybe like a 2-0 win. Okay. And I expect Messi to score at least one goal. But, after that game, the next one will be France-Iraq. And I think today is the day Kylian Mbappe either equalizes, Messi's all-time World Cup highest goal scorer, run, or beats the record.
A hat-trick will beat it.
Yeah, or beats the record. Because, I mean, Kylian Mbappe obviously will eventually, in his career, end up being the greatest World Cup player ever. I said World Cup, and this is me pronouncing it today because this is just his third World Cup, and he's already just two goals behind the all-time highest goal scoring chart. So now imagine him going for the next two World Cups, which I obviously think he will be there. So Kylian Mbappe might end up being the highest goal scorer this same World Cup, because I really do not see Lionel Messi, chasing the golden boots vehemently. I think Messi will just, relax, enjoy his game. That's basically what he's been doing. If the goals come, good. If it doesn't, good. But Mbappe, still has a lot of motivation in him. He still has a lot to fight for, even though he's won the World Cup before. But you can see that the fact that Messi is up there, still doing it at the age of 38, almost 39, and he sees himself as, okay, you know what this guy is doing it. Why can't I do it at this young age? So I think Messi and Ronaldo are a serious, motivation for Kylian Mbappe, and he's taking it on so well. He's the captain of France at the age of 26, or I think he's 27 now.
He's 27. He'll be 28 on the 20th of December.
So I really think that Mbappe will be hungrier for the goals. But at the end of the day, he's also facing the let's say the weaker opponent on paper. Yeah, I say on paper because sometimes we see the paper and it appears like it is going to be easy, but sometimes when we get onto the pitch, it becomes tougher than it's looked like it would be. So Iraq has never really been a footballing nation. They lost their first game to Norway 4-1. I expected Norway to win, and I expected a 4. The sort of score that, we got in the game, but I never really expected Iraq to score a goal in that game. So that was the surprise. So, this game, France obviously is a better side than Norway. So I expect France to score more goals and Kylian Mbappe to be involved in the goals. I expect a hat-trick from Mbappe.
Okay, so a hat-trick from Mbappe, most likely for this one. You said the first game, that is
Messi.
Argentina, Austria. Messi most likely will score at least one goal. A 2-0 win. Probably a 2-0 win. Just to add to that, who do you think is going to partner him up front? Will it be Lautaro Martinez or Julian Alvarez?
I don't know. Whoever Scaloni, trusts to partner with Lionel Messi, he knows best. Personally, I prefer Julian Alvarez, but the coach knows best. So,
well, speaking of knowing best, I think there was even no need to ask that question because the team sheet is out. The match is going to be it's going to kick off in the next 7 minutes. I'll read it out quickly as we round off the show. Argentina, the defending champions, are playing a 4-4-2 formation with Emiliano Martinez, Dibu Martinez between the sticks, and then Molina playing at right back, then Medina playing at left back, centre back pairing of Christian Romero and Martinez, that's Lisandro Martinez, the Butcher of Amsterdam, formerly. Then in the midfield, you have Rodrigo de Paul, Messi's bodyguard, and then you have Enzo Fernandez. You also have Almeida, and then Alexis McAllister of Liverpool. Then up front, you have Lionel Messi, the man himself, and Lautaro Martinez. So Julian Alvarez is on the bench.
Exactly same lineup for the first game against Algeria.
Exactly the same lineup. And then for Austria, you have Schlegel between the sticks, and then Posch at right back, Lema at left back, David Alaba, the captain, is being paired alongside Kevin Danso of Tottenham Hotspur. And then you have Seawald and Jagla in the midfield. And then ahead of them, you have Schmidt, Sabitzer now. I call him Sabinus, then he's Man U days. And then, of course, Werner, and then Gregoric is up front. No, Arnautovic is there. So that is what we have for Argentina. And we end the show because of time. We are actually out of time. We want to tell you that the NUGA Games, that is NUGA, the Nigeria University Games Association, will host the 28th edition of the NUGA Games. That will be in the University of Calabar. University of Calabar, UNICAL, will host the 28th NUGA Games from the 14th to the 24th of November, 2026. That will be fantastic indeed. Remember, NUGA Games is one of the biggest platforms where the athletes of tomorrow will emerge and start showing their stuff. Some of the biggest athletes you've seen in the world of sports, track and field, other disciplines, is from the Nuga Games. So we keep our fingers crossed. It's funny enough, it's going to be taking place around the same time with the National Sports Festival, which should be in November too. So roughly the same period. So we wish all the athletes all the best as these games fast approach. We are really out of time. So I want to say thank you very much, Kelechi, for your expertise and for bringing what to the table, what you always bring to the table. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
And I want to say a big thank you to Wisdom, who was right there behind the microphone, behind the camera, the cinematographer, doing the job that he does. I appreciate you very, very greatly. And in the MCR and PCR, I want to say big thank you to Rising. Thank you. I appreciate you for what you do there. And then, of course, I want to say thank you to Victor in the PCR and also Emeka, my trusty lieutenant, doing what he does best, producing the show. I appreciate you. And also a big thank you once again to the Blessed Zik. We'll do this again on Thursday during the banter box, but this is World Cup magic. And we'll all tell you about the magic of the World Cup as things move on smoothly. But till then, remain blessed. I'm Sisi the Rabbi, and I'm signing out.